Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Amanda Stebbins speaking. I just want to apologise. We had some technical difficulties. I am overseas at the moment, and the technicians in the hotel here decided to play with the internet 5 minutes before this webinar began. So apologies. They are just to my left now, and so if there's any problems, they'll help me out. Joe is just on with me here. Joe, I think you can speak okay, can't you?
I certainly can, yep. Hello, Amanda. Hello, everybody. Apologies for the delay.
Hi, everyone. It's nothing to do with Joe. This was all my fault, guys, so please let Joe off the hook. Luckily, she's still with us. She hasn't gone off and got some vodka. In the meantime, obviously, I know we're going to crack on because some of you have been waiting a little while. So let's crack on with the webinar. Now, just to start with, just so we can see that everybody can hear us and also see the screen now, Connect to Success webinars with Joe Barnes and the Social Academy. Can you just put in the question box? There's a little box down the bottom there under questions. You should be able to type in. There's a little box. Oh, I can see some of you already saying hello. Mick, Cheryl, Andy Manning. I know you're a big fan of Joe. Davina, Keith, obviously we know you well. Michelle Waite, nice to see you on here. David Matthews, Kathy Brown. Excellent. Lots of Joe Barnes fans and Social Networking Academy guys there I can see. Brilliant. So you can all hear. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to get stuck in now because we're running a little bit late. I just want to thank Joe very much for being so patient in the last 10-15 minutes as I've been biting my nails and almost reaching for a vodka bottle because the technology let me down here.
Nothing that a good vodka or a red wine can't solve.
Yeah. This is an example of how not to do a webinar, guys. No, seriously, the rest of the webinar should go according to plan. If we lose each other at any point, then obviously Joe will hopefully be able to take over. But just to introduce ourselves, my name is Amanda Stebbins from Connect to Success. I'm based out in the Caribbean at the moment, and I do a lot of work following Joe Barnes. Basically do a lot of social media, webinars and online publishing. So that's the reason why I got Joe, who's an expert in social media and particularly Facebook, to share her knowledge with you tonight, and also how she's built her business from webinars. She's only been doing the internet probably about a year now, and recently she made $100,000 in 1 week. So she's going to share some of her strategies with you on this call this evening, and also tell you a little bit about the Social Networking Academy. Joe is a fantastic lady, and as you know, in the internet marketing world, it's lovely to find somebody that's very straight, very honest, and delivers more value than you would expect from anybody in the internet marketing field. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to the lovely Joe. Did you want me to cover any more housekeeping, Joe, in terms of questions, hands going up, etc.?
Totally up to you, Amanda. Do you want people to answer questions or ask questions at the end, or as we go through?
Yeah, just in terms of the format of the webinar tonight, guys, there's 7 particular questions that I've posed to Joe about webinars, which I think will give you a good overview of how webinars can assist you in your business. And Joe's going to cover a few things, for example, how webinars have assisted her to grow her business, how you can use them to grow yours, the tools that she uses, some tips and strategies for you, and also the one thing she's very good is at marketing, so how to market your webinars effectively. I've had lots of questions from people already. For example, I'm an Avon representative. How can I use this for my business? So if any of you have any specific questions, then do type them in the box, and we'll attempt to answer those at the end of this webinar. There's obviously a lot of people on the call, and quite a few people couldn't get on because it was 100 max. So whoever's on the call now, you're pretty lucky to get in today, so congratulations. So in terms of housekeeping, there's a little box on the right hand side there. It says questions, so I think most of you have found that, so do type your question in there, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end of the session. But in the meantime, I will hand over to the lovely Joe Barnes, who will tell you a little bit about herself, and then we'll get stuck in with the questions. So over to you, Joe.
Thanks, Amanda. Hello, everybody on the call. How are you? I feel like my right arm has been cut off, actually, because I don't have control of the GoToWebinar panel. So I can't see who's on the call. I can't see any of the questions. I can't. And normally, of course, I'm in complete control of my webinars. So tonight, I'm feeling I don't know. It's really odd. I suppose it's like a smoker who's suddenly given up cigarettes. I feel like I ought to be looking at a panel or something, and I can't see anything. So it's all a bit weird. I'm kind of steering blind. Amanda has complete control. Gosh, does that make me a control freak? Anyway. My name is Jo Barnes. I'm presuming there's quite a few of you on the call who probably already know me and are probably members of the Social Networking Academy. So hello to all of the Social Network. I actually waved then, by the way, to all the Social Networking Academy crew. And yeah, I started internet marketing in March 2010. And a lot of you will know my story. I kind of dibbled and dabbled with lots of different things until August, when I fell over Facebook. And all of a sudden I had this kind of blinding flash of light that said, this looks like quite a good marketing tool and ticks all my boxes of chatting to people and gossiping and being able to post videos and all of that kind of stuff. So I started my Facebook career in August 2010, and I got very passionate actually about fan pages, because at the time there were companies out there offering to build your fan page and a welcome page within your fan page for upwards of $800 to $1,000 and more. And it was all because actually my other half, Rhett, who many of you will know, wanted some fan pages, and they were $800 a piece, and he wanted 4, and I wasn't prepared to pay $800 a piece. So I sat down for a couple of weeks and taught myself how to do it, including the welcome page. And when I started to make videos about it, I realised that lots of other people really wanted to learn this too, and I was very passionate about ensuring people could learn how to do it for free and not have to pay $800 a piece. Anyway, I did videos, and I did lots of webinars, and I did interviews, and I did all sorts of stuff over a period of 2 or 3 months, and very, very quickly, in fact, grew my list from about 600 people I started with, sort of from my dibbling dabbling, to about 6,000, I think, in about 3 months. So it went very, very quickly. And the rest is history, really. I've sold my first product on October the 23rd, which was my 2,000 fans in 27 days. And then I did the greatest Facebook show on earth with the lovely Mr. Chris Farrell in March, and we sold that out to 80 people. And then, of course, I launched the Social Networking Academy on the 8th of April. And we have approximately 750 members at the moment, and growing every week. So that's it. That's me. So thank you very much. This feels really weird, Amanda, because it's not my webinar.
I'm so sorry. I think what's happened, guys, is, and this is for any of you that's starting with webinars, because the webinars at full capacity, we had I think we had almost 450 people try and get on. There's there's a lot of people that couldn't get on. So what it's done is it slowed the webinar system down. So if you're lucky enough to have Jo Barnes as an interviewee, then it could crash your webinar system. So do make sure you've got a big enough monthly package up to 1,000 people, so that so you can get all your lovely attendees in. So I've learned a big thing today, and as I said, I'm in the middle of a hotel reception now because my internet went down. So if any of you are moving to the Caribbean, do be prepared for Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D. There's a bakery just across the car park here, so that was going to be my Plan C if this one didn't work out. So anyway, I always have a Plan B and C. But I really want to get stuck into the questions now, because Jo is an absolute goldmine for things that work and for marketing. And also, as you'll hear from this call, those that don't know Jo, she has a fantastic laugh and a very, very magnetic personality. So I would love her to answer these 7 questions and give us as much knowledge as she can on webinars, and then tell you a little bit more about her company at the end. So Jo, I mean, I've done so many of your webinars now, especially your coaching ones, as I am one of Jo's proteges. But just starting with question 1, Jo, how would you describe a webinar to someone who's in business but hasn't actually used it yet? How would you describe?
Yeah, a webinar is quite simply an online seminar. That pretty much is exactly what a webinar is. So, for instance, if I were going to organise a live seminar and get lots and lots of people in the room in order to do training, or a presentation or something with them, then that obviously involves setting up a room and getting everybody there and having your PowerPoint slides up on a big screen in the front of the room. And a webinar pretty much does all of that online. Of course, people can't see you, or with GoToWebinar people can't see you, but there are webinar programs out there now, some of which I want to start testing actually over the next couple of months, that allow you to actually use a webcam. So when you're actually doing the webinar, people can see your face as well, which I think is very powerful. Although sometimes I do webinars at 1 o'clock in the morning, and quite frankly, I wouldn't really want people to be looking at my face then. But for a normal time, that's pretty powerful. And you present your training or your presentation or whatever it is, the information that you want to give out to your audience. You present it online, and it means that people can sit in the comfort of their own home and just basically click a button on their computer, and boom, they're online and they're watching exactly what we're doing right now.
So the great thing about it is, in terms of, as you said, the cost. I mean, when I was based in London, I was running events, and each month that was costing me quite a few £100s just to do that. And lots of people in London, they turn up the day before, or they book the day before. So the great thing about webinars and business is, it's very cost effective as well.
It is. Webinars are fabulous, and the thing that you can never ever replicate, of course, for an offline seminar is the networking opportunities you get to go and meet people and actually be face to face with people. But seminars are kind of like the top of the top. I love seminars where you've actually got people in a room. But if I were going to choose a very close second, a way to be able to, get your information out to your audience in a really effective way, then webinars would certainly be a very, very close second to live seminars. And the great thing about webinars as well now is the software that you've got is that people can ask questions and answer questions and actually converse with other people on the call, which makes it, a great interactive experience for the people on the call as well.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thanks, Joe. Getting on to question 2, I know this is something that I've seen just in the business world over the last few years. I did a lot of training in corporate life, and we did a lot of web conferencing. So for any of you that have done web conferencing, it's also very similar. So the webinar format is kind of been around a while, but why do you think the webinars are the way forward, and what makes a successful webinar, Joe?
Before I answer that, can I just double check with you, Amanda, that you had some slides for these questions, but they're not moving across the screen. Are you clicking through and we're not seeing them? Is there a screen issue, or?
I'm on question 2. Can you not see my screen?
I can see your screen, but I'm still on the title screen, which just says Connect to Success Webinars.
All right, no, you should see question 2 now.
Oh, I can now. There you go. Okay, cool.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, there's question 2.
Great. Okay, so why do I think webinars are the way forward? Webinars, the reason that webinars are such a great tool, obviously we can all, produce video content, and just send video content out to people. But the reason webinars are such an effective tool is because you're essentially asking people to attend an event. So you're asking people to gather together for a very specific time period, and to be present at an event, just like you would with a seminar. So it makes webinars a lot more immediate, and it means that people will take more action. So for instance, I know with the Social Networking Academy, I've recorded there's probably over 400 videos now, 300 odd videos in the Social Networking Academy. And out of those 750 odd members that we've got, I would take a bet that quite a small percentage have watched even half of all of those videos, because it's amazing how many people will actually purchase a course or purchase something and then kind of think, I'll get round to watching it at a certain point. Yeah, because it's kind of always there. Whereas with webinars, it's essentially a sense of urgency. We're holding a webinar, it's at this time, it's on this night, and people are going to register for it and attend. They're taking time out of their day to actually sit and watch a webinar, and therefore they're far more attentive because it's actually something that they really want to do. They wouldn't register for the webinar unless it was something that they really, really wanted to do. So webinars as an information tool from a presenter point of view is fabulous, because essentially it's a captive audience. It's an audience of people who are very interested in the subject matter and who want to be there. The other thing about webinars, of course, is they are a very strong sales tool. Next to seminars, webinars are the second best sales tool online. And again, it's for exactly the same reasons as within a seminar. You're connecting with people. You're actually speaking live to people. This is why I'm about to start testing over the next couple of months, actually, and obviously all the members of the SNA will benefit from my testing, because as these guys know, I teach what I learn. And I'm about to start testing this whole perpetual webinar model. So where you do a webinar, you record it, you feed it into this kind of software, and people sign up to go to a webinar. So that kind of thought process is still there, where they're signing up to go to a webinar. But it is actually a recording, and it is something that happens kind of every day. And I'm about to start testing that to see the effectiveness of this kind of perpetual webinar model, because I'm very much a live webinar person. I love live webinars. I really enjoy the Q&A at the end of webinars, and I love that kind of interaction. I believe that's what relationship marketing is all about. That's what one of the things I love about webinars. I'm kind of darting about a bit here, sorry about that, but I get very excited about this, is the immediacy and the fact that I'm reaching a global audience. So if I were going to go and organise a seminar tomorrow, it would have to be in Sheffield or London or somewhere in the UK, and I would only get my UK audience, whereas 70% of our members are from the US. But I can't get to the US to do seminars regularly. So a webinar means I can immediately get to my audience live, just like I'm doing a seminar, and get to everybody over in the US, get to the guys in Australia, get to the people in Singapore. All of a sudden on my webinars, I've got this global audience, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's why I kind of mentioned that thing about the perpetual webinars. Live webinars reaching a global audience are incredibly powerful. And I've yet to see how webinars that are essentially not live, are on some kind of perpetual machine, I'm yet to see how they work. Apparently they're very successful as well, so I'll be interested to see how they work. But that's why I think webinars are the way forward. Many businesses do not use webinars yet. And a lot of people feel that webinars aren't for them. Many months ago, I had a guy on my fan page who was doing the 2000 fans course that said, I'm going to skip the webinars bit, Joe, because it's not really for me. Webinars aren't really for me. And I went back and I said, why don't you feel webinars are for you? And he said, well, because it's just not my industry. I think he was in the tanning industry. I think he had a tan shop, and he said, I'm a local tan shop and it just isn't for me. And I ended up giving him this list of, about 10 reasons why webinars would be fabulous for his business. Imagine doing webinars to all of the people that were registered that came to his tanning salon, all about skincare, healthy tanning, different ways to look after yourself, beauty tips. He could pair up, he could JV with a beauty salon or a hairdresser's or a nail person. They could do webinars on how to do fabulous makeup, all these sorts of different things. There's so many different creative ways that you can use webinars within your business to create better relationships with the customers you already have, and B, to get out there and create more customers. So webinars, along with social media for local businesses, is going to be absolutely huge when local businesses kind of get on the bandwagon and realize how effective social media and reaching out to a global audience actually is. So what makes a successful webinar? Well, I think, the key things about a successful webinar is that it's entertaining, that there's lots and lots of content, and that the content that you're giving is very, very valuable. What I don't like are webinars where I'm quite happy to do sales webinars. I enjoy sales webinars, in fact. But what I don't like is when somebody says, I'm going to give you all this content and then I'm going to tell you about my offer, and actually it ends up being 10 minutes of content and 40 minutes of the offer. So webinars are far more successful when they are full of value, full of content, and that the people on the other end of the webinar really feel like they're getting value for their time, because that's what you're asking them to do, spend their time with you. So that's that.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. The screen kind of flicks back and forth a few times, but I can hear you
Yeah,
fine.
I'm trying to answer people's questions as we're going along, and it seems to click back for some reason. It changes the slideshow, so I'm going to leave that till the end, guys. Some of you've been asking some good questions, so we'll pose those to Joe at the end, and any of the other ones that are really urgent, I'll try and answer as Joe goes along.
Okay.
Brilliant. Joe, you've started to talk about this a little bit, but for those people that are in business now and really want to grow their business, how else have webinars been able to help you grow your business? You've touched on a little bit already, but can you give us any specifics, particularly with SNA?
Yeah. I mean, I've used webinars consistently throughout everything I've done with Facebook since August last year. And gradually over time, I mean, I remember having webinars where I had, can you remember how many? Sorry, I'm just talking to Rhett here. How many people I had on my first webinar? Gosh, I can remember having webinars where I had like 30 people, 20 or 30 people on my webinars. And gradually over time, word of mouth, people talking, advertising the webinars a lot within social media, using Facebook to advertise my webinars. It just helped the webinars grow massively. One of the other ways that you can use webinars, and you guys, members of the SNA, are going to start seeing this a lot over the next few months as well, is by JVing with other people. So it's actually speaking to other people and saying, let's do a webinar together. Okay, and then they basically send it out to their list, which means you get in front of a brand new audience. And that's one of the great things about webinars, is that you can go out to other people. I can bring people on to the SNA, interview them on a webinar. They get a brand new audience, which is all of my members, plus my members get valuable content from somebody completely new who I'm interviewing or speaking to on a webinar. Vice versa, I go out, I get to do a webinar with somebody else, they become essentially an affiliate of the SNA and they advertise it to their list, so I get in front of a whole new audience who I get to basically talk to about Facebook and social media and all the rest of it, and then obviously discuss the Social Networking Academy with them. So that's how webinars can really help you grow. You can do your own webinars and grow and grow and grow just gradually by giving very, very valuable content. It sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet here, and I don't mean to sound like that. But I think that my webinars, at one point, Amanda, I'll be honest with you, my webinars became famous for going wrong. Every webinar I did, something went wrong. I've got some stories that I can regale about that a bit later if we got time. But I literally had a
I can do that, Joe. No problem. Today's a good start.
But yeah, I did. I had a catalogue of disasters, but people thought it was so funny. My webinars were so funny that they were posting on Facebook how funny these webinars were because they were going wrong. And so each time I did another webinar, I had more people on the webinar because I think they came to find out what was so funny about my webinars.
Yeah, lovely. Probably more British sense of humour than American, I think, there, Joe.
I tell you what, Amanda, it's all the way along my journey, the one thing that the one fear I had, I'll never forget saying this to Rhett a couple of years ago. I said to him, why are people going to listen to me? Right? I'm not the absolute guru. I'm not the absolute expert. Why are people? And I just said this to him about general business, and he said, because you're real. And I just remember laughing at the time. And the one thing that's happened all along the way is people have kept saying to me, Joe, one of the reasons we enjoy learning with you is because you make mistakes and you're just a kind of a real person out there doing it. So honesty, guys, is always the best policy, even when you're desperate to try and cover up a huge mistake you've made.
like the internet going down. That is the truth. I'm sitting there and I was talking to Joe on Skype, guys, and I clicked in and I was going to upgrade to the next package because we had just so many people, and then it just went. And I've got two different internet providers just to have a backup. The second one went as well, so I ran down to a hotel reception. And I just thought, what can I do? I was stressing a little bit by that point, thinking this is the Joe Barnes, I'm handstead with Joe Barnes, professional webinar expert, and it goes down. So I just thought, what's going to be is going to be, and I've looked at a lot of Joe's videos, and she always starts, "Hello, Joe Barnes here," and then she'll be doing something and she'll go, "Oh no, I wasn't supposed to do that," but she leaves it in. So I hope with the recording of this show, I'm going to leave all of that in.
I'll leave it all in. I'll leave it all in. But look, if there's anybody on the call tonight who is a local business or who is going out to educate a local business on how to use social media and stuff like that for their business, webinars are an incredibly powerful tool for that local business. If you go to any local, I used to run a real estate business, a letting agent, as it's known in the UK. Now, I didn't know about all of this at the time, but had I have known all about webinars, I could have done a webinar once a month to all of my landlords, for instance, and given them information on the market, given them information on investment, given them information on how to go about getting the best tenants, how to look after their properties. Now, how much of a relationship building tool would that have been for me to have connected with my clients like that? Next time they were out, because remember, people mix with similar people. So next time these guys were out talking to friends of theirs who'd also just invested in an apartment in the middle of Sheffield or whatever, how many times do you think that person would have said, "You've got to go with my company. Listen, these guys don't just do this, this and this, but also we have these webinars every month. We have all this information. We get to connect. We get to talk live with the organizer of the business." It's so incredibly powerful. So if you run a local business or you're going to be advising a local business, then do please make webinars part of the business strategy because they are incredibly powerful.
I was just thinking of a quote by Brian Tracy. I know you like Brian Tracy, Joe. I remember one of the tapes I used to listen to for years in my car when I was a recruitment consultant was, whatever you're doing in business, you need to be nose to nose or face to face with your customer. And although you're not exactly quite face to face with a webinar, it's really second best to being face to face, and it's the leverage of one to many as well. I've been in sales. Obviously, I've done a bit of real estate as well. Any of you that are in sales, you can get a whole list of your clients. If you've got a list of 200 clients, it's very easy for you to put a webinar together, as Joe says. You don't suddenly have to have a product or a book. You can just start educating them every 2 weeks on something that's changing. And again, just by having that extra contact with them, they will know, like, and trust you more. And then when it does come to that product or service sell, then it's going to be so much easier for you. Even if you're not that confident, the PowerPoints can do it for you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, and coupled with social media, that's what really makes you nose to nose with your client. If that's the great thing about Facebook. It's what I love about Facebook, the kind of live immediacy, the fact that you're having discussions on your Facebook page with your customers, one-to-one, all day, every day. Add into the mix webinars as well, then you've just got, your perfect business, really.
Joe, you mentioned it briefly. We didn't go into webinar tools too much. I know that's something you're going to be investigated over the next few weeks. Just briefly, what webinar tools are you using at the moment?
I just use GoToWebinar. I always have done. When I started with webinars, GoToWebinar was really the sort of biggest, the only one out there that everybody used. And when I started, I was very lucky to get the $99 package. So I get 1,000 people for $99 a month. Now it's gone up recently, and now it costs you $500 a month. I think it's $499 a month to have that 1,000 people. I think the $99 is only for 100 people. So it has really increased in price dramatically, which is a shame. The other thing with GoToWebinar, which I find very restrictive, is that it's built for a PC. And I have a Mac, so there are certain functions within GoToWebinar that I just can't do on a Mac, like saving a questions log. So at the end of every single one of my webinars, I have to grab one of my members and ask them to save a questions log if they've got a PC. So that's very frustrating. And then the other thing as well that I'm looking into at the moment is that I want to be able to be seen. When I'm doing the webinars, I want people to be able to see my face. Now, there's a reason for that. It's not because I, preen and think I'm Elle Macpherson or something. It's actually simply because when people can actually see your face, you get a lot more engagement. Now, when I'm doing a webinar presentation, many of the members online tonight may not know this, but you can actually see on GoToWebinar what percentage of people are actually attentive to your webinar. In other words, are they watching your webinar or are they surfing the web? Now, it's a bit difficult with my webinars because I do ask my members to go and do stuff. So I ask them to actually go over to Facebook and look at things and do things and all the rest of it. But when you're actually there live, your face is there, it really is far more engaging. And I'm going to be doing lots more interviews and getting more people on my webinars, and I want my members to be able to see them as well, so we can have a two-way interview and our faces to be seen. So I don't have any webinar tool that I can recommend yet, because I've been looking at a couple and I've watched 2 webinars so far where you could see the faces, and both failed. Both went sort of, dismally wrong, with fairly high profile internet marketers as well. So there's obviously still some work to be done on this, and I shall be investigating, and of course I will, as soon as I've found a really good platform that does everything I want it to do, then I will be letting everybody know.
There is a couple of the ones that I'm looking at the moment, but they don't seem to have the follow-up systems that GoToWebinar have, which is one called DimDim, and another one is run by Adobe, within Adobe. But again, it's I think it's $99 to $199 per month as well. So
didn't DimDim get taken over by somebody? I thought DimDim got taken over by somebody.
I think so. But it's very recent, I think, Joe.
Anyway, so yeah, DimDim is one, but I did attend a webinar with DimDim, and it didn't go very well. Anyway, so it's tricky. I mean, GoToWebinar are very, very good, to be fair, from a reliability point of view. Provided your internet connection is fine, GoToWebinar are very, very reliable. They have a very good reporting system, and I've never had any problems with them at all, really. So it's very challenging because of the servers and all of that kind of stuff, and all the connections that you need to run webinar software. So, but yeah, as soon as I find a platform that I think does everything I want it to, particularly I think the most important thing for me is the face-to-face, then obviously I'll let everybody know.
Yeah, I'd be very interested in that as well, Joe. Now, just moving on to question 5, you've kind of covered this a little bit because we've talked about the things that we've done wrong on webinars. But is there any other particular learning or the biggest learning that you've had whilst using or doing a webinar over the last few months?
Yeah, I would say if I could give people the biggest lesson, it would be do a practice one, play around with it, get a couple of friends on and try all the controls before you do a live webinar with customers. In particular, learn how to turn it off. Because I did a webinar, my first ever webinar was actually, I don't know if people on the call have heard of Stephen Esser. Stephen Esser is a really good friend of mine and is a lovely, lovely fella. And he's kind of like the webinar guy. I did my first ever webinar with Stephen Esser in the middle of the night, in front of about 40 or 50 of his students, and they did a critique on it, and it was fine. But I was the presenter, so I didn't have control of the panel. I was simply presenting. Stephen controlled the panel and I was presenting, and what they did is they critiqued my presentation, essentially. The first webinar I actually ran myself, where I had control of the control panel. The webinar itself went quite well. But when we got to the end, I could not figure out for the life of me how to turn the webinar off. So I'm there on the webinar and I have literally just doubled up in laughter. I mean, I cannot stop laughing and I am literally holding my stomach going, I can't turn it off, I can't turn it off. And it took about 15 minutes, I think, in the end to actually turn this webinar off. And everybody wrote on my Facebook page, Joe, that was absolutely hilarious, and I felt a complete idiot. So that was kind of the first biggest mistake. But then the second mistake as well, guys, if you use GoToWebinar when you go to turn GoToWebinar off, there is a period of a good 30 seconds to a minute where on your screen it looks like it's off, but it actually isn't, and people on the call can actually still hear you. So after I'd done a webinar one night where my internet connection wasn't fast enough, so my voice was faster than my screen. So for the whole evening I'd been trying to explain fairly technical stuff about how to build iframe, how to create welcome pages, and my voice was 60 seconds ahead of the screen. So the webinar had been a bit of a disaster because, people couldn't really follow what I was doing. So at the end of the webinar, I've gone, oh, thanks everybody, so sorry, but it's been brilliant, really enjoyed talking to you, blah, blah. See you next time. Clicked off button, turned round to Rhett and gone, well, that was a load of BOLLOCKS, wasn't it? And I got all of these messages on my page saying, we heard that. I got some lovely messages as well from people going, don't worry about it, Joe, these things happen, don't be so hard on yourself and all the rest. And I'd just basically completely sworn in front of everybody as I was leaving the webinar. So there's a couple of lessons. Biggest lesson is play around with it, get some friends on, do some practice webinars, make sure that you're completely au fait with all of the controls and all of that kind of stuff before you actually do a live webinar to an audience.
Yeah, good tip there, Joan. I have to admit, I'm normally a very clean mouth girl, but when the internet went down, I have to admit, and I wasn't sure because sometimes Skype still works. When the internet goes down, it's very strange setup here. And I did say a couple of weeks, and I wasn't sure whether you and Rhett heard, because at this point I was just starting to think, which place do I run to? So,
no, we didn't hear. We didn't hear.
Thank God for that. It's okay then. Okay. And moving on to question 6, what are the top, because most human beings only tend to remember 3 really key things, that's why we'll stick to 3 here from all my years of training. What are the top 3 things, Joe, that you would like the audience to remember about using webinars for their business?
Okay, well, I think probably the first thing is they need to remember that they are incredibly powerful. Don't put webinars on the back burner. Don't think, oh, okay, it's not really for my business or it's not really for me. Webinars are second, next to seminars, the best relationship building and sales tool you could possibly have within your marketing arsenal. In fact, I don't know if that many people on the call here were on Chris Farrell's webinar the other night where he actually created a new fan page. And he had, I think, 600 people on his call. And by the end of the webinar, he had over 350, 360 likes on his page. So that's how powerful a webinar is. You've got an entire audience there of people who want to know what you're talking about and also want to be supportive and engage with you. So it's an incredibly powerful marketing tool. So one of the absolute one thing I want you to remember is if you're sitting there now thinking, I don't think webinars could work for me, think more creatively, think bigger, because webinars next to seminars are without a doubt one of the most powerful marketing and sales tools you can have within your marketing strategy. The second thing I think I would like everybody to remember is that you can do it. For anybody who's sitting there thinking, I don't think I can get online, I'm not sure I could talk like this, maybe I'm a bit shy, I don't know what to do. You can do it. The great thing, it is scary. The first webinar I ever did, I was shaking. Yeah, it is scary. But at the end of the day, you're not in front of anybody. You are on a computer screen. So nobody in the audience can throw tomatoes at you or call you names, or they can call you names, but only in the questions box. But you are kind of in the safety of your own home behind a computer screen. You could actually sit here with your pajama bottoms and your slippers on and do a webinar and get very cozy and comfortable. And you can do it. And if you are a little bit nervous and you're thinking, gosh, I'm not sure I can do an entire webinar on my own, then go do what Amanda's done tonight, for instance. Amanda hasn't done this out of nerves. Amanda's done this because this is what Amanda does. She interviews other people. But you could do exactly this. you could go out, you could find somebody who is an expert in their industry. You could plan some key questions, and then your role is simply to get the webinar going and to ask the questions, okay? Now, obviously, you do need to try and find an audience, but you can also rely on that person to help you market to their audience as well. Okay, but the key thing is that you have less of an involvement because you are simply asking the questions. But everybody can do webinars if they really, really want to. So the second thing I want you to remember is that you absolutely can do it. And then the third thing I think I would really like you guys to remember is know the difference between a presentation webinar and a sales webinar. A presentation webinar is where you come online for 40 to 60 minutes and you only give value. That's it. There's no catch, there's no sales pitch, there's no twist. The whole webinar is about giving value. A sales webinar is where you give value and at the end of it you essentially make an offer. Yeah, you tell somebody about an offer. And it's really important that you get sales webinars right. Whatever you do, I've been to webinars before where people do spend 10 or 15 minutes telling you a little bit of content and then they spend the entire rest of the webinar telling you all about their product. It is one of the biggest turn-offs in the world. You leave the webinar feeling cheated. You don't feel like you got the information that you went there for. You don't feel like they have delivered on their promise. So do always, if you're going to do sales webinars yourself, make sure that you spend 90% of the webinar giving great content and then just let people know what your offer is, okay? If you go and do webinars with other people, if you're going to go and ask other people to do webinars with you and they've got a sales product, make sure you've done your due diligence. Make sure you've listened to a webinar they've already done before and that you're happy with the fact they're going to give massive value before they do a sales pitch. There's nothing wrong with a great seller. There's nothing wrong with a really, really good sales pitch and, you know, a 10 or 15 minute very aggressive sales pitch, as long as they have done a good 40-45 minutes of absolute content and nothing else. Okay, you want your audience always to feel like they've walked away having gained lots and lots of value from the webinar they've been on. And remember, if you're ever promoting a webinar, you're out there, then the people that have registered are looking to you to provide the value. If your guest is rubbish, it's going to be your fault, not your guest's fault, because you're the one that has invited people to that webinar. So make sure that you protect your reputation and only ever do webinars with people that you trust are going to give incredible value and are going to help you to grow your profile and your reputation in the meantime. So number one is that webinars are incredibly powerful. Okay. Number two is that anybody can do them. And number three is knowing the difference between a presentation and a sales webinar and ensuring that within a sales webinar it is 90% content, 10% sales. They're my three.
Great. I'd just like to second that, Joe, because obviously, I mean, again, I did my first web conferencing about 6 or 7 years ago in corporate. So I understand kind of the thinking behind presentations, but when you start doing this commercially, it's very different. And I interviewed a couple of people going back about 8 or 9 months now, and I had chats with them over Skype, but I didn't listen to one of their webinars. They were both business experts, but both very nice guys, know their stuff very well. But when I actually did a webinar with them, one was his English wasn't fantastic, and the other one was good, but they didn't talk coherently on a webinar. Yeah. So sometimes, even if they've got a good product and all the rest of it, they have to be engaging on the webinar. And you could see as they were going on that he was taking too long to answer questions and the attendees were just dropping off. So anybody you're going to do a webinar with, they don't have to be amazing on webinar, but just make sure that they are coherent, that their English is okay, and that you know, they don't take too long to answer questions, and make sure you're in control of that. Otherwise, you will lose your audience. That's just something else I wanted to add there.
Yeah, great points.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm just wondering, I know there's quite a few questions, Joe, but before we move over to the a little bit more about what you want to tell them about, did you want to answer the questions first before we talk about SNA, Joe? That's probably
absolutely. Just Amanda, just check with everybody how they're doing for time, because obviously it is now an hour now. An hour from essentially when the webinar should have started. So do you just want to make sure everybody's okay for time and they've got another sort of 10-15 minutes?
Yep, losing control of my screen again now. There we go. Right, hang on a second. Just gonna go back into questions. Okay, guys, if you just want to put in the question box that you're okay for time, that you're okay to keep going. Getting lots of okays here. Vicky, Martin, Kathleen, Pamela. Okay. No, David, sorry you have to go. Thank you for being with us.
Bye.
Yeah, Trevor wants to know more. Yeah, Judy, Diana, Kathy Brown.
Kathy
Yeah.
Brown, the lovely Kathy Brown, who's making money with her affiliate sales. Woohoo!
Doing very well. Vicky, maybe. Yes, go on. Davina, Debbie, Patsy, Edward Palmer. Thanks for your comments today. Carol. I think we've got an overwhelming yes there. So
Good. Let's crack on then and do a few questions.
Trevor, is there a recording?
Yes.
Yeah, Joe, as far as I'm aware, Joe is recording this, Trevor, so yes, you should be fine. Brilliant, okay. Now, for some reason, every time I click into the questions box, I'm losing my screen here, so let me try and integrate this back into my box. Let's go back over some of the questions here. Lots of will this be recorded, so yes is the answer to that. Let me just go down, just a few here, Joe, right at the bottom. For those of you that have put questions in, I'm going through them now, but if you want to type them again, that's fine by me. Yes, we are Retless. Well, Retless is there. Sorry, Ret is there. Somebody's just saying, are you Retless, Joe?
No, Rhett is in the background, but
obviously he's not answering the questions tonight.
He's not answering questions tonight. We can't get access to the questions, unfortunately. And it's not.
He's asking, why is GoToWebinar so expensive, Joe?
I don't know. Ask GoToWebinar. No, I don't know. Honestly, it's crazy, isn't it? I think probably because about a year ago or so they had the absolute monopoly. I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 12 months or so their prices come back down, because there are many other products now out there trying to rival them. So it's about supply and demand, isn't it, with pricing? And, I think there was a time when GoToWebinar were the biggest and the best. And as I've said, even now, they're certainly, from all the webinars I've seen so far, they're the most reliable. So, other companies have got some way to go to catch up. But when they do, and of course they will, then obviously there'll be a lot more supply out there, which means that GoToWebinar may have to readdress their prices because they are very expensive at the moment.
Yeah, I think they need to be a little bit more competitive. There's a question from Diana. What about Skype versus GoToWebinar?
Yeah, great question, and very interesting, because at the moment I'm doing some one-to-one calls with some students from the Social Networking Academy, and I use Skype mainly, and then if Skype for any reason doesn't work, I use GoToMeeting. So they're two different things. Obviously Skype is just like a phone, and you can literally just have people on your Skype and give them a call, and you can chat online, you can just chat into the box, whereas with a GoToMeeting or a GoToWebinar, you've always got to set up a session. So you've got to actually go in and start a session, and then you've got to get people to log in. So if you are creating a session in the future, then you actually have to send people a link for them to register and then be able to log in. If you're doing an immediate meeting or an immediate webinar, then you can click on a button that just says start webinar now, but then you do have to get hold of the person and give them the webinar ID and the email. So it's a lot easier if you're literally just having conversations with people, just like a phone conversation. Skype is much easier because it's very, very instant. And Skype is also growing hugely. I mean, it's just, it's releasing a new version on Monday now, which is going to hit Windows before it hits the Mac, which completely integrates with Facebook, which means that when you're on a Skype call, you can update your status, and you can connect with with the person that you're talking to on Facebook, and you can like and comment on the conversation that you're having and all this kind of stuff. So they're releasing this new version on Monday. Obviously, Skype's very, very cheap as well, as in it's free for calls from computer to computer. But also, if you want to make calls overseas or abroad or whatever, then it's it's very, very reasonable cost as well to make calls, and it's instant, and you can chat as well as if you're text messaging as well as just calls. So I use Skype for everyday, day-to-day use, and then I'll use GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar for larger groups of people that I want to speak to.
Great, Joe. Waldex just saying that she now records videos on green screen and then adds PowerPoint into it and then plays it live on the webinar.
Sorry, can you say that one again, Amanda? You just cut out a bit then as you were speaking.
Debbie says she's now recording videos on green screen and then adding the PowerPoint into it, so she can actually play it in the webinar, do it live, and pause it and answer questions with her live voice.
That sounds very interesting. The challenge I have with that, who says that? Debbie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Debbie, let me just clear up what you're saying there in my head. Whenever I try to play a video on a webinar, the video doesn't play properly. So if I've pre-recorded a video, and then I actually put it on GoToWebinar and play it, to the people that are watching, it's very it kind of jumps and it doesn't play the video smoothly. So tell me how you've got around that issue.
It says true for live. She says true for live webinars.
True for live webinars.
Yeah.
Okay. True. TrueForLive. Yeah.
No, I think she's saying just true for live webinars, as in there's a problem playing the video.
Oh, I thought it was a
Yeah,
.com.
I thought it was, yeah.
So
there are a couple of people here saying different systems though. I've just lost it now. But I can email. There's a few people that have suggested some other kinds of recording systems.
Great. Send them over so I can have a look and research them.
Dale Donnell says, with TalkFusion, you can see everyone on the webinar if you want to.
Wow.
Jane Howitt says it's on Adobe Air.
Great.
Debbie also says she pays $600 per year for a 1,000 capacity.
600 a year. Wow.
Yeah. Which one's that, Debbie, again? All right. Terry says Dim is now Any Meeting.
Any Meeting. Yeah, I knew it had gone into something else. Yeah.
And it hosts 200 per webinar.
Yeah, it's not big enough, that one.
Pamela Harper says, have you thought of using Fuse Meeting at fusemeeting.com? The pro version is $69 a month. She's not an affiliate, she says.
Fusemeeting.com.
Become one.
I was going to say, become one and then send me the link and I'll buy it through your link. Fusemeeting.com. Okay, great.
I'm just looking for any of the really key ones here. Kathy says she's good here. Thanks, Kathy. All good. They're all okay. I'm just saying, going back down to questions, everybody says they're okay. How to use. Hi, Joe. How to use webinars for retail businesses. That comes from Andrei Zyukyov. Hopefully I've said that right, Andrei.
Hello, Andrei. What kind of retail business, Andrei? I mean, I suppose that doesn't really matter. Webinars work for any business. So one of the things that retail businesses are notoriously bad for is not collecting the names and addresses of people that walk through the door. If you imagine the kind of footfall retail businesses have, what you want to be doing is trying to get all of the contact details of people when they come into your store. So there needs to be a system where you can be collecting their names and email addresses. Facebook pages are great for retail businesses, of course, and you can have opt-in boxes and things within your Facebook page. So depending on what type of business you're in, the key here is having the details of your customers so that you can then invite them to monthly webinars. And I don't know what retail business you're in, but let's say you run a shop. Your monthly webinars could be about fashion. It could be, about... Sorry, go on.
Shoes, Joe.
Sorry?
This business is shoes.
Shoes. Fabulous. What a wonderful business. So every month you could have a webinar on the latest fashion, the latest styles, how people should wear shoes, all the different things that go with shoes and collecting shoes and handbags and shoes. And you could have different guests and you could have, people who design shoes on your webinars and all sorts of stuff going on. You could have all sorts of things. But the key there is ensuring that you gather the names and addresses of your customers. So the first thing I would do is ensure that you have a Facebook page for your business. a very, very attractive Facebook page. Remember, people buy shoes and things like that out of emotion, so make sure that your Facebook page completely reflects that. And I say that only because I've seen some shoe sites which are just awful, just have pictures of shoes everywhere without any, you know, people actually don't buy shoes just because they like the shoe. They buy the shoe because of the way the shoe's going to make them feel, you know. And so if they see a picture of a shoe on somebody who looks fabulous in that shoe, then it's going to make them want the shoe more than if they just see the shoe. How many times did I get the shoe in that sentence, by the way? So yeah, so basically, Andre, you need to be finding a way to get all the names and addresses of your names and email addresses of your customers so that you can regularly communicate with them, and so that you could do webinars once a month, and you could do offers. You could do offers at the end of your webinars. You could say, look, come on the webinar and win a free pair of shoes, or win a discount voucher to come in and shop for the next best shoe, whatever. There's all sorts of things you could do. Did all of that make sense?
Another question here. Yeah. There's another question here. Oh, I've just lost it. David says, Joe, you can get a full list of all questions answered when they are answered, and I'll PM you on Facebook to let you know. I think that's about taking the questions from today, I'm assuming, Joe.
David who?
David Gear.
Says that I can on a Mac. Ah, it's because David Gear is the Mac man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
right.
David, wonderful. If you could, that would be amazing if you can tell me how to get a full list of questions from the Mac. Is that what he means, Amanda? David, is that what you mean?
Let me just read that again. He also says that GoToWebinar will soon have full HD video for presenters.
Oh, look at that.
Actually, and he says that's right, yes.
Fantastic.
So I'm assuming...
Can I just do a quick shout out for David Gear, actually, guys? If you don't know David, go over to Facebook, type in David Gear, G-E-E-R-E, and make him your friend, because he is an absolute wealth of knowledge. I don't speak to David as often as I should. David, how are you? But every time David's ever offered me help, he is an absolute wealth of knowledge. So if you want somebody who knows their stuff, then do make sure you look up David Gear on Facebook. And a nice...
I'll be looking you up, David. I've got loads of questions for you already.
And a nice guy to boot.
Fabulous. Just one more suggestion here from Linda Sloan. My Video Talk is great.
Okay.
My Video Talk is another software. Linda Sloan's put socialoutbreak.com. I don't quite know what that is. If you want to elaborate a little bit more, Linda, that would be great.
I don't know either, and I've had somebody post on my page today asking me what Social Outbreak is, and I was going to go and research it, and I haven't had time today, so I need to have a look and see what Social Outbreak is all about.
Dave Smith is saying to Andre, Mark Mooney, that's Mooney, does loads of business as an affiliate with women's shoes. So you might want to contact him, Andre. Mark Mooney.
Yep.
And it's Dave Smith that's just commented about that.
Yeah, great point, Dave. And Mark is a very good guy, Andre. So look him up on Facebook and go and check him out. He is another guy that really knows his stuff.
Getting lots of questions on which company was the $600 a year. I thought it was Talk Fusion, but apparently not. Debbie, can you just remind us which company you're with for $600 a year, the webinar company, please? Linda Sloan and Cheryl Seltzer are telling us that Social Outbreak is a new networking site.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, sorry, no, Social Outbreak is a program for Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Fine, so that's something we probably need to investigate there, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. Can I just mention to the people still on the call as well about the other thing that we haven't really touched on tonight is how you can make instant money from webinars by essentially working with somebody else who already has a list, who already has customers. If you became like an expert in how to do webinars and you approach somebody maybe who was running a local business, an offline business, and said to them, right, okay, I can show you how you can make money with your current customers and show them how, with their physical business, how they could create maybe a digital product or a coaching program or something online for their customers. And all you do is help them set up the webinar, show them what they need to do and all the rest of it. But you say, I'm going to take a 50% cut. And let's say they've got a customer database of, I don't know, 10,000, and they're going to do a coaching program or something for their customer database. You could do very well out of that just simply by helping them get the webinar set up, hosting the webinar, making sure that everything was all set up, and then marketing to their list, their customers. They're doing the coaching program, they're doing all the work. You're just essentially setting it all up. So there's just a way that you can profit from webinars fairly immediately without your own list and without your own product.
Joe, got back here from Debbie saying that there's a group of 10 of them that got the deal with GoToWebinar, $600 a year. I'm just wondering if we could do something with SNA, that we go to them and say, look, we've got, 750 people that all want GoToWebinar. Can you do as a deal?
I think that's
just a thought.
I think that sounds like a very good idea. I shall go off to GoToWebinar and ask that question.
There we go. Thank you, Debbie.
That would be
think of that before.
Yeah, that would be wonderful actually if I could get a deal for all SNA members.
Yeah, so another bonus.
Thank you, Debbie.
6,000. Yeah, 6,000, and we split it by 10. And she calls that being grandfathered in. Is that an American term? I've not heard of that before.
I've heard of grandfathered in before, but yes, I think it's an American term.
American. Hi, all the people from America. Right, Joe. I think I'm just going through. I think we've answered most of the questions here, guys. If there's any other questions that we've missed really badly, then just drop me a note at Amanda at connecttosuccessacademy.com, or just Amanda Stedman on Facebook. There's not many of us. Amanda Stedman, Steadman. It'll be a picture of a blonde on a laptop on a beach. That's me. So if you've got any other questions, just drop me a note there. And I would really like Joe. She's given us so much value from the last hour or so, actually, Joe. I'd really like her to talk a little bit about her company and a little bit what the Social Networking Academy do. I actually joined up as a member. I've been following Joe for months, actually. I almost bought one of her $17 products. I started the process and then got distracted. So I would have joined Joe a lot sooner, but joined her recently at the Social Networking Academy. Because even as an expert myself on webinars and Facebook, it changes so fast. You really need someone that's got a desire and a passion that's on it every single day, every minute of the day. So that's why I joined Joe, and have been very impressed with what she's done so far. And I was so inspired by her. I pinned her down. It's taken me a while to pin her down to this webinar, but I finally managed to get her, and therefore added value to a lot of people that have been on the call tonight. And I'm sure you'll agree that she's a lovely lady. She adds a lot of value, and she talks sense, and she's very honest lady. So I'm going to hand over to Joe now to talk a little bit about what she's been building the last few months, and she's done extremely well. So over to you, Joe.
Oh, thank you, Amanda.
Do you want me to change presenters now?
Oh, so I can show my screen? Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Let me just find you, sweetie, and I shall click on you now. You're now the presenter, Joe.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys, I will literally take 5 minutes of your time. I won't take any longer than that. This is the Social Networking Academy site. This is my site. And as I said, we have about 750 members at the moment. Let me just log out and go to the main public site. So if you were going to come and have a look at the Social Networking Academy site, this is where you would land, on the main page here. And just very, very briefly, what do we do? Oh, there's me talking. Sorry about that. What do we do here in the Social Networking Academy site? Well, we have all of our Facebook training. So we have Facebook Basics, which is a really big course. It's asking me to log in for me to be able to show you that. Okay, I'm going to log back in now. So this is a huge course, 25 videos there, just on taking you through all the Facebook basics. Facebook pages and create a website on Facebook are free. So if you have not watched these courses yet, do please go and check out these courses. Amanda's going to give you a link in a minute where you can go and check out this page. Do click on create a website on Facebook and Facebook pages if you'd really like to learn how to do this for free. Facebook Pages takes you through how to create a page and how to use our free iframe templates to help you build your welcome page. And Create a Website on Facebook shows you how to install our free WordPress theme, which is all sized for Facebook, so you can create your very own welcome page with all the right sizes and all the rest of it, and integrate that with Facebook. And we show you exactly how to do that. And those 2 courses are completely free. And then you've got Facebook marketing, a 30-odd video course on Facebook ads, all about the Facebook plugins, whole section on YouTube here as well, taking you through video marketing and SEO and all that kind of stuff. I'm very big on mindset. I think that many courses are fantastic from the point of view of giving you the tools that you need to go out and actually create a business, but many courses lack giving you actually the mindset that you need to be able to create the business. And the reason actually I included some of this in here is because recently I did a webinar at the end of last year or the beginning of this year called The 3 Steps to True Wealth, and it was all about mindset. It was after I'd gone out and listened to a huge iPod moment with my favourite person in the world, Tony Robbins. I had, for the first time ever, I had about 400 or 500 people on a webinar listening to me about this mindset, and I had all these people telling me how it changed their life and all the rest of it. So I really do believe that mindset, as Tony Robbins says, 80% of success is mindset, 20% is the tools that you need to do it. And yet we all kind of focus on the tools, we want to know how, and we don't actually focus on why and the strength of our minds. So that's all within there as well, and just loads and loads of stuff. Okay, and just uploading this week is our Twitter section. It's not here yet. We've just launched our new Twitter account. We've written a Twitter guide on how to use Twitter, and I'm just recording all the videos as we speak, and that's going on. And then in about another 2 weeks we're doing a whole LinkedIn section as well. So again, we're writing a whole guide on how to use LinkedIn and following up with all the videos. So you're going to have really the top 4. You're going to have Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn and Twitter. On top of that, over the next few months, we're going to be doing some stuff on all the other social media outlets out there as well, and adding that into the site. And also, if you're looking to make money online, if you have not yet worked out how to really create a successful business online, then we have our 90-day coaching program. And I've just been today recording week 6, which is all about driving traffic using what I call the Facebook 10. Okay, that's my little secret, the Facebook 10. The 10 key ways to drive traffic on Facebook. So here you have, so far you've got 5 weeks in there. I've just been recording week 6, and in total it's 12, 13 weeks worth of coaching. Plus, of course, the live weekly coaching calls that we have every single week. We have live coaching calls done in 2 time zones, one at 9 o'clock UK time, one at 8 p.m. US time. So loads of stuff. Now, other than that, becoming a member of the Social Networking Academy, it's $4.95 to become a member. You can trial it out for 10 days, and then if you like it and you want to stay after 10 days, it becomes $37 a month. And I've committed, without a shadow of a doubt, to producing a course a month for the next 2 years minimum. And if you do sign up and you decide to stay for a year, you actually get the second year free. So you pay your $37 a month for a year, and then you get the whole second year completely free. And as I said, there'll be a course uploaded every single month for the next 24 months minimum. Okay, and I've committed to that to all the founding members that joined on the launch. So, as I said, it's only $4.95 to come and trial it out. But there's lots of free stuff on here as well. If you just want to pop over and have a look and check it out before you decide to buy, then there's the Start a Business course, which is 21 days. Start a business in 21 days, and an ebook that I wrote all about the mistakes I made. And you know what? Even if you don't want to watch the videos, check out the ebook because it's quite amusing. I do say so myself. It's amusing because you'll get 3 chapters in and you'll think, how on earth was this girl still in business? So it was how to start your own business in 21 days, charting all of the business mistakes I made, of which there were many. This could have been War and Peace, actually. So members on the call tonight, if you haven't downloaded the ebook yet, pop over and download it. There's the first...
No, just on that note, before you go on, obviously one important thing on webinars is to mention the affiliate link, which is on slide 7, which we haven't got to yet.
No, we're going to come back to Amanda's link. Do make sure you go through Amanda's link, please, guys, because obviously tonight is Amanda's webinar. So we'll be going back to Amanda's slide in a minute, and do please click through Amanda's link. So do go and check out the How to Start Your Business Smartly book. There's the first 15 tips of the power of focus here. And we also offer a business in a box. So in other words, we offer you a complete and entire business in a box. What that means is you get a full welcome page to put on your Facebook page. You get all of our confirmation and thank you pages. You get 26 emails. You get 6 months worth of emails, which are newsletters that you can send out to your list that you build with our welcome page. So when you set up your welcome page, we configure it so that it's you building your list. Okay. So you get 6 months of Social Power newsletters. There are 6 more months to come. That's why it says 12 months there. And you get 50% recurring monthly commission for the Social Networking Academy for every sale you make. So you get an entire business in a box as well. So there's just loads and loads of stuff on here. And do, guys, check out SNA TV as well. That's a free weekly TV show. The next one is coming out on Wednesday. And that's a weekly TV show that we send out every week, full of lots of fun and laughter. And that's basically it, Amanda. I don't want to take up everybody's time. So that was just a quick overview of the Social Networking Academy.
Lovely. Thanks, Joe. I'm just typing a little message to everyone over the next few days. There we go. I'm just sending out a little link in the question box there. Fine. I shall go back to my screen sharing. There we go. Back to me. And okay. And show my screen. Can everybody see me back? Am I back?
Yep, I can see you.
There we go. There we go. No, and it's there we go, all the way down to the bottom. That's the one thing I find with GoToWebinar, guys. If you're going in between the question screen, the screen sharing screen, especially if you've got a PowerPoint presentation, for some reason it always goes back to the first slide. I have spoken to GoToWebinar about that, and they don't seem to know why that's happening. But there we go. Anyway, in summary, I just want to thank Joe very much for being with us. Here is the link underneath. It's budurl.com/SNA profits. For anybody that does sign up through that link, then you'll get some extra surprises and bonuses from Connect to Success over the next few days whenever you sign up. And I just want to thank Joe very much for adding fantastic content to us over the last hour or so, and for letting us know the inner secrets of how she's built a very good business over the last few months, and particularly how she's used webinars. For those of you that are thinking about joining SNA, it's a fantastic platform for learning about Facebook, about YouTube, about business in a box, essentially, about starting literally from nothing. And for those of you that have established business, it's a great way to build on what you have now and build a much bigger marketing and sales platform. Joe has the tools and the videos to show you how you can do that. So again, for any of you that joined through that link today, you will be getting some extra bonuses, and I would love to see you become a member and to working with you at some point in the future. So Joe, thank you very much for joining us. And Rhett, I've done my best in terms of covering you tonight. I've been typing away like mad here and answering all the questions, so you've had a little bit of a break.
He has, yeah. He hasn't got headphones on either, so he's just looking at me with a confused look on his face, saying, "What?" And I'm I'll let him know, Amanda. Right, that's fine.
Headphones, you're on your headphones. So, bless him. Well, at least you might get to listen to the recording.
He sure will,
so
yeah.
Good.
He sure will.
Excellent. Excellent. Fine. So if there's any other questions, guys, then obviously I'll pass that on to Joe, and I'll try and answer as many as I possibly can over the next few days. And thank you very much for joining us. It was oversubscribed, so there's quite a few people that couldn't get on this call, so we might have to do another one, Joe. And in the meantime, I look forward to seeing all of you on the other side. So have a fantastic evening or afternoon wherever you are. And I will talk to you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. It's been very enjoyable. And you guys have a fabulous evening, whatever you're doing. Lovely to speak to you.
Okay, then, Joe.
Thanks, Amanda.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
Bye.